Hello, everybody, and welcome to the top 5 new comics for April 2nd of 2025. I am, as always, Chris, and let's go ahead and jump right into these awesome books, starting with Absolute Superman number 6. This is written by Jason Aaron with art by Carmine Di Giandomenico and colors by Ulises Arreola. Absolute Superman has been a really fun book. I've really enjoyed these first 5 issues. We kind of got the background of what happened to Krypton and who Superman is in this world, the differences between him and the one we know and love from the main DC universe, how certain things like the suit, the symbol, the cape, everything is a reflection of his past on Krypton. And we ended that story arc, and a little bit of a spoiler, but it's also on the cover you're looking at right now. We're going to Smallville. He finished what he had to finish in the last story arc, and now it's, hey, we're going back to Smallville. We're going back to my origin, to where I started. And I have some theories as to what's going to happen on Smallville. It doesn't seem like, based on the cover, it's going to go very well. But my main theory is that Smallville is going to be where all the Kryptonians that left Krypton are stationed. That's the kind of the new Krypton of Earth. Um, that's where the last issue really left off for me and how I felt with it. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited. We're going to obviously get a small story in Smallville, but we're going to really dig into his origin story as he comes to Earth and possibly grows up in Smallville and what happens there. So it'll be very interesting to see where the team takes it. And after that, I got Daredevil, Cold Day in Hell, number 1. This is written by Charles Soule with art by Steve McNiven. So we got a cool little 3-issue mini series here that we're doing with Daredevil, and it's being done by Charles and Steve, who worked together on Star Wars and also did a bit of a Daredevil run of their own. And guys that know each other really well and have worked together, done some really great books in the past. And I feel we have here is a story that these two have concocted throughout their time doing Daredevil as to kind of the finale of the character. He's obviously much older in this series. He's starting to lose his powers. Things are happening in the city, but he's still trying to help in any way he can as a older blind man with no superpowers. But things go wrong, and he has to do something once again. I'll just be very interested. I really enjoyed Charles and Steve's books together, their Daredevil run from the past. I love their Star Wars run together. I just think this would be a cool 3-issue little mini arc with a cool story. We'll see how it goes from there. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm down. I love Daredevil. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters. So anytime you want to give me more Daredevil, whether it's Matt or Elektra, I'm here for it 100%. I just think he's a character that thankfully has a TV show out now and people seem to be enjoying. So hopefully that means that more people are becoming fans of his in many ways. After that, I have Hyde Street number 5. This is written by Geoff Johns with art by Francis Portela and colors by Brad Anderson. So important here, Ivan Reis not on this issue. Okay. With issue 5, we're going back to a story that they did early on in Hyde Street. Now, mind you, we're still early on in Hyde Street. We're only on 5th issue. But I'm talking, I think it was after the first issue. It might have been up to second. They did this one shot. And it was all about this woman who was obsessed with looking thin, went through extreme dieting and everything, and how that led to this parasite taking over and killing everyone around her. Interesting story, but at the time I did not understand the point of it. Especially it was not written by Geoff Johns and it was not drawn by Ivan Reis. I was very confused as to what this issue was all about, this one-shot story. And it seems now we're going to figure out why that one-shot story exists, because we're going to meet Miss Glee Goodbody, who is the proprietor of this lifestyle, health, and fitness store. in which she sells clients basically a parasite that will eventually kill them, but turn them into essentially anorexic versions of themselves. And it seems like Mr. X-Ray has to team up with her in some way. And her maybe her corrupted mind is going to help him in this challenge that he has and what's going on in Hyde Street. I'm very interested, and I'm actually super excited for this more than past issues because it is taking a part of the Hyde Street mythos, as small as it is at this point, but the one part that I didn't care for, and trying to bring it into the main story and really explain to me why it was important to tell that story early on. So it'll be interesting to see how Geoff brings it all together. A little sad Ivan Reis isn't drawing it, but Francis Portela is a phenomenal artist in his own, and I'm sure it'll be a great issue. After that, I have The Lucky Devils, number 3. This is written by Charles Soule, once again, with art by Ryan Browne. Once again, we have another great team. Charles Soule being the writer of the team. Ryan Browne, these two have done some amazing books together, and this Lucky Devils book has just been a ton of fun. Do you think the idea of two devils taking on the corrupt nature of hell, and the way they have hell set up in this is that it's almost like a salesman Ponzi scheme, where instead of earning money, you have to earn souls to get into this hierarchy. But these two devils decided, let's take it all down and break the whole thing up and break all the rules along the way in a very demon punk rock kind of way. It's an interesting book. They end up in the first issue coming out to the people that they're supposed to corrupt and telling them like, hey, you help me, I help you, and we can do this thing together. And that's exactly what they end up doing. And just the fun things along the way, like we get to see the top earners of hell on this like booze cruise where they're learning new techniques on how to do things better. We see just how the different layers of hell exist inside this world, a whole bunch of really cool stuff. So it's just a fun book, and I just cannot recommend it enough. After that, I have Past Time, number 1. This is written by Joseph Harris with art by Russell Mark Olson. So I gotta admit, this is not only a little bit of a cheat, but also just a few things around this book. I've already read the issue, so I know I like it. But also, this is a creative team I've never seen anything from before. Two guys I've never heard of. But as I've discussed so many times in my life, in this past 2 years probably, I love Mad Cave Studios. And when they announce a book, I at least have an eye on it in some way because I feel like at the very least that book is going to be quality, if nothing else. And that was kind of the case when I saw this book. I saw a book about baseball coming out around, we're just enjoying opening day a few days ago. Beginning of the season's here. We're all excited. But it also involves vampires. And if you don't know, I love vampire fiction. I love vampire horror. It's one of those things that you will at least get an eye from me just based on, hey, it's a vampire book. Now, yes, it depends. And this is no offense to these type of books, it's not my style. But if you tell me it's a horror vampire book like American Vampire, oh, that sounds awesome. If you tell me it's a romance vampire book, kind of like some of these movies we see now, I'm not gonna name anybody, probably not gonna be as into it. This one seems to mix the classic Dracula style vampires and revolve it around the history of the sport of baseball. And not only does it bring in those great horror elements throughout the book, but I say in this industry, I think we need more sports titles. I think there's more of a crossover between the people who enjoy comics and the people who enjoy sports than we want to admit to. And I would love to see more baseball comics. I would love to see more football comics and so on and so forth. We see it a lot in manga. Don't see it as much in American comics. So the book did a couple things for me that I've been looking for in a comic these days, and I was really thrilled with it. I think it's a great title. The first issue did enough to intrigue you, show you kind of where we stand in this world they're building, give you the characters involved, and leave you with just enough questions to want to come back for issue 2. So I highly recommend checking this book out, picking it up. It's well drawn, well written, just a phenomenal title. So everybody, that is everything I have for this week. Remember, if you want to follow me further, you can always go to my Substack, which is chriscomicscorner.substack.com, or listen to the podcast I do every week, which is the Fortress of Comic News podcast. Every week we talk about the news, what's going on in comics, and we also talk to a comic creator about what they're working on, what they're promoting, what they got going on right now. And if you want to support this show, remember to like the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel so you can keep getting them, and then hit that notification button so that you know when a new video comes out, including that podcast that's on YouTube, the interviews that are on YouTube, all that stuff, all right here. So thank you all so much for watching this week. I'll catch you all here next week.